Never? Oh, here we go. Hello and welcome to another edition of Shoot the Defense on FNX, brought to you by My Sportswear and Save Association. I'm your host, Stel, and my two co-hosts, as ever, are Yiannakis and Rhodri Giggs. Yan, you okay, mate?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. You okay?
Yeah, absolutely fine. It's a bit cold here. That now that you're not here, you're using Google Hangouts. How are you finding it? Are you
Yeah, it's
panicking
not
yet,
too bad.
or?
I feel a bit weird not being there with you, but yeah, I get you to miss me tonight.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Rod, you okay, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Really good. Yourself?
Yeah, can't complain. It's been one of those weekends where things have been going our way as United fans, which is great, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a good weekend.
There you go. There you go. Now, our special guest this evening is none other than Dan DeLuca from the wonderful Sofa Sports News podcast. Mate, great to have you back on.
Thanks for having me. How's it going?
Yeah, all good, mate. You're probably on cloud nine at the moment.
It's been an amusing day, yeah, I could say that.
To say the least, yeah.
To say the absolute minimum, yeah. It's been
It's
pretty
down the
amusing.
Tottenham fan, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I'm afraid so. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it.
Fair enough.
I mean, can't you tell from the background? Hasn't he got that White Hart Lane thing in the background anymore?
Well, I actually didn't notice, but yeah.
Look at
It's
the, look at
just
the,
above,
look at the top man.
just above my head.
Yeah, I've spotted it now, yeah. Cheers.
When we
Oh,
lose, I
God.
sit in the other chair. If I'm on a show and we've lost, I sit on the other side of the table. But today,
I don't-
today I'll sit here.
It's like I've got my United title. Whenever we lose, I go into work with long sleeves. Right, okay, let's not talk about United for now. Let's talk about Man City. They won the first domestic trophy of the season, trouncing Arsenal 3-0 in a game that will be known more for another inept and gutless performance by Arsene Wenger's men. I don't think many Arsenal fans will disagree with me on that one. City's opener was a lovely lob over Ospina by Aguero, although Mustafi will claim he was fouled in the build-up. He wasn't. Vincent Kompany prodded in the second before Silva wrapped it up with a superb finish. Now, this was Arsenal's sixth League Cup final loss, a trophy that's evaded Arsene Wenger in 21 years of management in England. Now, Rod, Guardiola wasn't happy with City's first half, not because Aguero's goal was something we're used to seeing from Wimbledon back in the day. He can't have any complaints about the second half, though. City were just too good, weren't they?
Yeah, they were fantastic and a well-deserved win. And obviously, Arsenal were a big help in that with their performance. But yeah, City were deserved winners and a cup in the back for them.
Were you surprised with how easy it was in the second half for them, though?
Not really, because like we say, Arsenal are not consistent enough. If they were consistent, Arsenal I'd be a bit surprised. But it's the Arsenal fans didn't want to turn up, and unfortunately, for City, that Arsenal team did turn up, and it was an easy day for them in the end.
That's right. Now, yeah, and Vincent Kompany put in a performance that we haven't seen from him in a long while. Was this one of the best individual defensive performances we've seen in the cup final?
No, not really. I don't think Arsenal did much to make him look good, to be fair. I just think his presence and what he kind of gives to Man City gives them a massive lift. There's a massive presence, there's a massive personality in that squad, and he actually plays for the shirt where, you wouldn't say that about a lot of players these days. But a fully fit Vincent Kompany would be absolutely immense. But City haven't seen the most of him because he's always been injured. But yeah, he did have a really good game. But Arsenal didn't offer a lot for him to have an outstanding game.
He got a man of the match, though.
He got man of the match, but it's because he scored a goal and possibly because he was back in the team and he had a decent game. I wouldn't say that's the best defensive display I've ever seen. How many chances did Arsenal create for him to be outstanding? Hardly crossed the line, the halfway line. Arsenal today, I thought they were pathetic, but that's my opinion.
Fair enough. Dan, Wenger said it wasn't the application that was missing, just lapses in concentration in key moments. Now, no one actually expects Wenger to come out and lambast his players not even in public anyway. But let's be 100% honest, mate. Who's he trying to kid? I mean, this is another big game and another bottle job.
Yeah, I think this is the thing with Arsene Wenger. He's been kidding people for years and people have been buying it. And this is what it culminates in. And there are still people who support Arsenal, who try and defend what goes on whether it's by having a pop at other teams or changing the focus from what it used to be. And the amount of time the fans were supposedly preparing for this cup final, it's a shame that the players didn't spend half of that time preparing, because it was a woeful performance. Absolutely woeful. And the thing with Wenger saying, it's not application, it's a lack of concentration. This is a top team. That's what application is. Application is concentration for 100% of the time. That's what top teams do. They're not a top team anymore. They've not got players with the ability to play at their best for 90 minutes. And you see it week in and week out. And that's why they're in a horrible mess. And it's getting worse and worse with every day. And I'm enjoying it, but it doesn't change the fact that it's an unacceptable state for a top English football club to be in. It's ridiculous.
Mm. The thing is, gents, I'm going to put this question to all you, because I'm pretty sure you've all got opinions, or maybe even similar opinions to this one. Now, Gary Neville said that it's a dark, dark day for Arsenal. Now, I don't think this is actually anything new, though. I mean, we know how good or bad Arsenal actually are. And the signing of Kolasinac and Lacazette in the summer was for nothing as far as I'm concerned. I haven't seen anything that makes me change my opinions on Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang. It's just the same old story with Arsenal. I don't want this to be an Arsenal bashing episode, because City deserved the win and they were absolutely outstanding in the second half. But it just seems to me that Arsenal's players, not that they let them, but again, the occasion, the mentality, and the ability got the best of them. What is your take on this, Jan? Because, Kolasinac hasn't done anything for me. Lacazette, he probably hasn't been given the chance, to be fair, by Wenger for whatever reason. And, Aubameyang didn't do anything really today. So when Gary Neville turns around and says it's a dark, dark day for Arsenal, we know this already. We knew that Arsenal have been on the wane for a few seasons now. So why the big uproar at the moment? I don't get it. Why the Twitter meltdown?
Where are the big players at Arsenal? Where's the leadership? Where's the somebody that's going to grab somebody when they're having a bad game and say to him, "You pull your socks up"? Where does that come from? I believe the manager. The manager for me is too soft at Arsenal, and they play the way that Wenger is, soft. To be honest, there's not enough fighters in that team. There's not enough quality. I mean, let's face it. Over the years, Arsenal have played the best football in this country that we have seen. They don't even do that anymore. They don't even play good football. I actually think they even play worse football than United these days. That's how bad they are. The division at the club as well has had an effect. Half of the fans want Wenger out. The others don't. The others are undecided. It's an absolute mess at Arsenal. I guess what's probably hurt the Arsenal fans today, and if I was an Arsenal fan, it's just a lack of fight. Forget how the goals went in. Where's your hunger? Where's your desire? Where's the application to get back in the game? Listen, City are a good side, a very good side. They've blown teams apart this season. They even done that to United at home, where it was kind of a similar performance. But you're in a cup final. You got 40,000 Arsenal fans have turned up to watch that game, to watch that. The cameras are picking kids crying. Where's the fight? If I was an Arsenal fan, that would worry me the most. The lack of application on that football pitch.
Dan, Xhaka and Bellerin are being made scapegoats at the moment. Okay, Xhaka's been slated for ages about his ability. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I just think he's not being played in the right position. That's just my opinion. Bellerin more so because of his comments about Arsenal Fan TV, and the rest about this, so I'm not going to go into it. But is it fair to point out these two players? Because let's be 100% honest, even Mr. Mesut Ozil, who's on 300 grand a week or 350 grand a week, did he put in a performance that you could say, well, he was one player that really stood out, that, really put in a shift? Same goes for Jack Wilshere. I mean, petulance personified. I think, didn't he give away the ball for the third goal? And that little spat with Gabriel Jesus. It just seems that there's something fundamentally wrong with the mentality at the club. What do you think?
Yeah, there is. I think Jack Wilshere is probably the only one who cares looking at that performance. And the thing with Bellerin, he's had a bit of a torrid time for a year now. It was last year when Arsenal fans were singing "You're not fit to wear the shirt," who was taking a throw-in. And not every player's got the same mental mental strength as everyone else. So, you know, a year later, where I'm seeing Bellerin saying unfavourable things about the fans, I just wonder how much things like that have an impact. But before the game, he was, you know, he was saying, "Well, we're going to win this for Wenger." If I'm a fan, I want to hear you saying we're going to win this for the fans, especially there's been a bit of criticism in the week before. But you've got to do it on the pitch. I'm trying not to be too harsh because there's no shame in losing to Manchester City necessarily. I mean, you know, Tottenham could have turned up and got beat 3-0. So could Manchester United. So could a Chelsea. I just feel for Arsenal. They're in such a bad place where, you know, when you're new to a club and it's not going well. Let's pick an example. Roberto Soldado, terrible, right? And you'll watch him and he'll go and stand somewhere where he can't get the ball because deep down he doesn't want it. And I almost feel with these Arsenal players, they almost don't want to be in the cup final. It's like the further you go, the bigger the hiding's going to be. They'd have been better off not being there. It's like they're hiding. They don't want to play a big game. They don't want to be seen because they know how it ends and there's nothing they can do about it. And so to pick on two players specifically, I think is pretty poor, especially in a performance like that. There was probably only one who tried a bit, who was Jack Wilshere. And I think that was a bit for me. I was watching the game in the second half, and I thought, you know what? There's no shame losing to Manchester City, but the shame is the only player on the pitch who looks like he could do anything was at Bournemouth last season. That's what's happened to the Arsenal first 11, and it's going to take 5 or 6 players to fix it in the summer or possibly the summer after. But it's not getting better. The sooner they start the rebuild properly, the quicker it'll be fixed. And the guy's got to go now. He's got to go. If Arsenal are going to retain any chance of challenging for a league again in the next 3 or 4 seasons, they've got to start today.
Stel, can I add something if I may?
Go ahead.
I'm going to disagree with Dan.
Yay.
Yeah, regarding you know, the further Arsenal goal, you know, if you look at their track record recently in cup finals, it's brilliant. You know, especially with the FA Cup success, they won it. You know, they beat Chelsea last year. They won it. I think is it 3 out of the last 4 finals in the FA Cup that they've won. So they proved that they can rise on the big occasion and win trophies. I just think today was a pathetic performance. It was spineless. I mean, look at the first goal. The first goal. If I was a manager of Arsenal, I'd be ripping my head. You've got a German international who Aguero's just giving him a little nudge, whatever you want to call it, and he's complaining. I mean, what kind of that is Route 1 schoolboy football. How do you legislate for that? You know, the manager will get stick, but how do you blame the manager for Mustafi doing that? You can't, can you? At the end of the day, it's the players on that pitch who perform, and with attitude like that, you're never going to win a football game.
The thing is, Rod, I'm not sure what Arsenal fans want here because I know they want to win trophies. I know they want to be challenging for the title. Everyone does. That's no team wants to turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I just want to survive this season. Oh, I want to end up mid-table." Every team has got aspirations or something. So, I understand that Arsenal fans want their team to win, but let's be 100% honest, right? Where you've got to start from somewhere, right? You've got to start building from somewhere. It's like it's a progression, isn't it? So. Do you want a team with heart? Do you want a team that plays well? Do you want what do you want? And this is what I'm trying to understand from these Arsenal fans because I know they want to be in and around the title hunt. Every team does. Every big team does. Arsenal are undoubtedly one of the biggest teams in the country. But then when I'm hearing the fans say, "Oh, we don't play good football," okay, fine, you don't play good football, but do you want good football or do you want a team with heart? Okay, they don't have either at the moment. But if you don't have players that care, then obviously that the good football is going to come afterwards, no?
Well, yes, but you say the players don't care. It's got to start with the manager, the mentality. The teams, the alarm bells seem to start when you get rid of Van Persie to one of your closest rivals. And then you seem to hear the manager saying he's content with being fourth. You know, a club like Arsenal should be thinking about winning it every season. Where now they've got the seem to be mentality where no, we're happy with 4th place, or now we're just fighting for 4th place. It's just gone from being a dominant team or a team that you know you're going to get a game of, or where now if you get into them and you get stuck into them, ultimately they're going to fold. I agree with that. With the ball you got really Jack Walsh, you say it was like petulant, but that's just because he's frustrated and he cares. So I couldn't see that with any other Arsenal players, but it starts from the top, and it starts obviously with the board and the manager, with them being content of coming forth and just earning a profit every year.
Okay, so effectively the problem lies with the hierarchy. Is that what we were saying?
Well, yeah, the players don't care, or the players are showing that inconsistency and thinking that they can't show it one week and not. It's got to start with the manager. No, the manager can't accept that kind of mentality. Oh, well, you're just going to keep on getting it, and you've been getting it year after year now. So it's the obvious choice. He's got to go, but it's just a matter of time now. So, but he's damaging his legacy for me, because he has been a legend of the club. But you know, it's just inconsistent, and these players that just don't care. From the Arsenal of old to the Arsenal of now, it's just black and white.
See, the thing is, mate, what I'm trying to say is basically, if you look at Arsenal as a whole, right? If you're going to rebuild, let's say, hypothetically speaking, they get a new board, they get a new manager. He's got to look at that squad, right? And how many of those players can you say are Arsenal players? Mesut Ozil. That's it. All I can think of at the moment, because Aubameyang hasn't been there long enough. Lacazette hasn't been there long enough.
It depends what kind of manager you get into. Like a Conte comes in, he's a high intensity training, in your face. No, if you're not putting your shift in, he'll be in your face. Where Arsene Wenger seems a bit more mellow, a bit more, you might get different out of them players, but that doesn't seem to be happening on the training pitch, because you can see it on the Saturdays or on the midweek games. They just fold. They just easily fold over. And if you have one of them managers that come in that could be intense like that and get the players working and get the players fighting for the fans, fighting for the club, then you might get a different reaction. Yes, they need to rebuild in certain areas, but they've still got some class players there.
Fair enough. All right, well, look, let's move on. And the second big game of the day was at Old Trafford, where Manchester United moved back into second place, coming from behind to beat Chelsea 2-1. Now, Jan, after defeat against Newcastle, you said you wanted more from Lukaku. Was this performance the kind you wanted?
It was after his goal. Yeah, definitely. I thought he didn't start the game very well, to be honest. But then again,
but neither of them did.
Yeah, I was going to say United didn't start well, so that probably affected his performance. I felt the United fans were very restless today as well. They seemed very kind of animated on the terraces. Maybe they expected a lot more from the team, and rightly so, because Chelsea were the dominant side the first half. Until United scored, I was kind of worried, because there was only one team that was going to win that game. So, but Lukaku did well today. He proved me wrong, and probably a lot of United fans that have kind of bit critical of him today. I thought he held the ball up really well. He created chances for himself. He was unlucky. He had a really good volley with the Alexis cross. That was a good save by Courtois that tipped it over the bar. I just thought his all-round game today was a lot better. But this is what I expect from him, and I expect from a Man United striker. So there was this thing that he doesn't score in big games, which was highlighted. So hopefully today, with the goal and the assist, might boost his confidence, and it might be the start of his career at United, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dan, Chelsea, in my opinion, deserved at least a point, if not more, to be fair. I mean, that's just on the basis of their first half display. Now, they've really struggled to replace Diego Costa, and especially his goals. Now, if you look at someone like Morata, as far as I'm concerned, he's not doing enough. Off the ball, he's fantastic. His movement is great. I just think it's a lack of confidence up top. And I think this is his worst goal-scoring run in the past 4 years or something along those lines. Now, they're nowhere near as good as they used to be defensively either, to be fair, mate. So what did you make of their performance today?
I thought it was actually not a bad performance away from home at Old Trafford. When you think how good Manchester United's record's been there this season, particularly, and I was quite surprised by their intent as well early on. I wasn't expecting it, and I think they have turned a corner over the last 3 or 4 weeks. When you think where they were only less than a month ago, they were getting beat at home by Bournemouth and seemingly in free fall. They've had a couple of good wins, one in the cup, a really good performance against Barcelona. So I was quite impressed with the way they went about the game. To be honest, right, I've been critical of Lukaku in the past, and I still am a little bit. But Chelsea need that type of forward. That's what I identify when I look at Chelsea up front. A big, powerful, scrappy, in-your-face, difficult to mark. A Didier Drogba, Diego Costa, absolute nightmare. You replace that with Morata. It's not what the club have been used to. You look at the way Conte. I know Conte signed him, if indeed he did sign him, and it wasn't someone else at the club. But the way Conte set his side up last season, it was all about solidity and then attacking with power to fit that. Whereas a Lukaku would. And back to Lukaku, which is where you started. I've called him a flat track bully in the past. He doesn't really score against the big clubs. I know, actually, I think that's one of those things that's kind of stuck to him now. It's going to take a while to turn it, because I think last year he scored away at 3 of the top 6, and it seems to slip under the radar. But I think with Lukaku, I don't think modern formations suit his strengths. I mean, we're forgetting the guy's got 20 plus goals already this season. It's not a bad season by any means. I just think he's at his best like he was today, where he's actually bringing other players into the game. And I think if he played in a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1 formation with a strike partner, or similar to Andy Cole and Dwight York, them days where he had a genuine strike partner, I think he could be unplayable, because he'll hold the ball up with strength. He's got power. He'll have someone close to him all the time, so he's going to see more of the ball. He'll be able to link up. So I think modern formations don't really suit him, but he's not had a bad season. He's got 20 goals under his belt already. The first season at a new but the first season was obviously slow. But it's difficult. It's to get 20 goals in any season in this day and age is quite tough. And I think he does get a rough deal. And I think there's a lot of things that are pinned on him at the moment that are going to take him a little while to shake off. But if Mourinho can find a way to get an attacking midfielder, whoever it may be, or a second striker who can play close to him and work with him, he's going to score lots of goals for Manchester United. There's no doubt about that for me.
You know what it is? It's the price tag that does it. Everyone seems to think that £75 million, he's got to be scoring goals. Listen, I understand. You're at Man United. Things are expected different as you would be at Everton. And people are saying, well, he should be getting more goals. And I agree, he should be. But, 22 goals so far this season is not a bad return so far. I mean, if you look at other players, I know this is a really, really bad example, but Lukaku's got more goals this season than Welbeck has in the past 4 years at Arsenal. Lacazette hasn't really done anything. Morata hasn't done anything this season. So of the 3 strikers that came into their clubs, big price tags, Lukaku's done the best. And fair enough, he hasn't scored goals against Liverpool, he hasn't scored against, Man City, whatever. But at the end of the day, he's doing what he can as a lone striker. And people forget he's 24 as well. He's got a long way to go.
That I agree.
Anyway. Okay, well, we agree on something finally. Right, Rod, your mate's son grabbed the winner with a great header. Now, his introduction made United step up a gear, didn't he?
Say again, I didn't catch that last bit.
Lingard, his introduction made United step up a gear, didn't it?
Yeah, he did. We think he can bring that burst of pace in and that bit of quality. And, he's turned into a big game player and big goal scorer in big games. So that can only be good for him and good for Man United. But no, I agree with what you said as well with Lukaku. Maybe he's got that big off his back now. He's scored against the top side, so he can go on from there. We have done a bit harsh when we're scoring 22 goals, but ultimately he's going to score that many goals, and we're still going to come second. So it'd be a bit different if we start with a bit more. Wouldn't be as harsh on him as we have been, but when you play for Man United, you have to expect this kind of criticism when you're not top of the league.
Oh, absolutely. And Dan, early on in the day, Harry Kane's header in the dying moments gave Spurs a deserved win against Crystal Palace. It was a bit of a frustrating afternoon for Spurs, wasn't it? But a win is a win.
Yeah, Crystal Palace away. It's always like that. I know what to expect. I just sit down, get my popcorn and just wait for it to be like a slugfest. And we always seem to pull it out of the fire. And I never at any point did I think we weren't going to score today. It's just that sort of game where I don't know. I liken it to like Arsenal Burnley. It doesn't matter what happens. There'll be something will happen in the 90th minute, and Arsenal will win. It's that sort of opponent for us. I think we won there by the odd goal. 3 of our last 4 wins against Crystal Palace. So it wasn't actually a bad performance. I didn't think. I know when things are left to the 88th minute, everyone starts panicking and say Spurs were lucky or whatever. But you're talking about three absolute sitters. You don't get three absolute sitters in a game where you're struggling to create. I think it's 6 attackers against 10 defenders, so you're not going to create chances every 5 minutes. But to create 3 one-on-one gilt-edged chances that should be goals, that's enough for me. And sooner or later, one goes in. And ironically, the one that goes in was probably the worst chance of the lot. And the keeper had a bit of a Western, didn't he? But it's they're the sort of days where, Spurs would drop points in the old days here, where there's an opportunity. Chelsea and Man United are playing next. Someone's going to drop points. It's a chance to get your 3 points in early. And in the past, they're the games that have cost us. But we're grinding out wins now. Obviously, I don't know if you're going to come onto it, but obviously the game will be overshadowed again by Dele Alli throwing himself around all over the place, which is a shame. But I guess that's just that's gone.
We've seen it with Ashley Young, haven't we? Eventually, it's gonna bite him on the backside. It's like the boy who cried wolf, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, the reputation's done now. It's not going to go away, and he's going to get wiped out in a big game soon, and a penalty's not going to be given, and everyone's going to complain and start writing tweets about how corrupt the referee is. But in actual fact, he's doing it to himself. And to be honest, there's no real. I've got no problem, right, with players going down when there's a bit of contact, because you know what? That's the game today, whether you like it or not. And if I'm Tottenham, I look at other teams and think, well, what are we missing? Is it that we're not streetwise? Because historically, you look at the best teams in the Premier League, they've all had players who have done this. Whether it's Costa, Suarez, or, Robert Pires, or whoever it may be. And, I've got no problem with that. But the ones where you're just clearly seeking out legs and you've been criticised for it the week before and the week before and the week before. And I just think, what's the point? And yes, it's Dele Alli's fault, but to some degree, to me, this is the referee's fault, because today again there was the clear dive. The referee's seen it. He's not booked him. The FA's not gone back and banned him for 2 weeks before. So why would he not carry on? Clearly, he's the type of player who dives. He's going to carry on diving until something happens to him. So collectively, the whole of football is accountable for this in some way. You look at a cup final today, and it's not been mentioned in amongst the absolute mauling that Arsenal received, but Monreal produced probably one of the most ridiculous dives I've ever seen in my entire life. No yellow card comes out. So the rule is such that, well, you'll get a 2-game ban if the referee gives a penalty because you fooled the ref. But if you haven't fooled the ref, nothing happens because the ref saw it. So actually, you have to actually score a goal for anything to happen. And it's ridiculous. If you're actually gonna bother to try and punish diving, then just do it. As a Spurs fan, if someone decides tomorrow that Dele Alli's actions are worth 3 games, do you know what? I'll be delighted, because sooner or later Spurs are going to play a team who've got quicker forwards than us, who will dive better than we do, and it will cost us. So it needs to be stamped out. It needs to be stamped out soon. But other than that, Tottenham won and Arsenal lost. So I'm going to stop being miserable.
There you go. Honesty is best policy. Right, quickly, tell me something. Eric Lamela, what do you make of him? Because I know a few Spurs fans that really rate him. They think he's got a lot to offer. He's still young. But then there are other Spurs fans that basically say, well, what's the point of him? Is he just being picked because he's Argentinian? What do you make of him? Because Lucas Moura, as far as I'm concerned, is a better player.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna have to be honest here, all right? Because I'm always honest. If he played for another team, I'd be calling him shit and I'd be calling him overrated. So why don't I do that? Because he plays for Tottenham. Because he's got the attributes that you want in your team. When a player comes and you think, I know this guy's got something and I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to stick with him. So he's a clever footballer. He makes the right choices. He makes the right passes. He works hard for the team. He tracks back. What he is stupid. He has got no brain. Okay, he's got nothing between his ears whatsoever, and that detracts from his ability as a footballer. And it's why, for me, he's never going to be a top player. Lucas Moura, in the 2-3 games he's played for us, you can see He's got a bit more about him, a bit more directness. You know, a little bit more. He's a little bit more streetwise. Like with Lamela, it's just like there's a lot of ability there. There's a lot of heart and desire, but he hasn't got a brain to go with it. To be honest, this is only his second Premier League start. Oh, he was injured for a year. But the fact he's relegated Son to the bench, if I was streaming Son, I'd be looking around a bit confused by that, asking, what have I got to do here? Because, you know, he's had a great season. He's chipped in with goals. He's pulled us out of the mire. And the reason it is because it's the tactical difference of having Lamela, who will put a shift in midfield. So that's his attributes. But if he played for another side, and again with a price tag, you've got the £30 million. He comes with all the hair, so you expect him to be good. Do you know what I mean? He looks like a player who you expect to do a little bit more in terms of end product. And that's why I think the only people who will give him praise is Tottenham. But if you're from the outside looking at the actual end product and what he actually does, you know, I'd be saying he's not good enough. And I think he needs to decide what sort of footballer he wants to be. Does he want to be a number 10 who makes the play? Does he want to be a number 8 who gets stuck in and wins tackles? At the moment, he's flitting between the two, and he's not really good enough at either. So I think he needs to. Pochettino needs to tell him what player he wants him to be, what his role is within the first 11 at Tottenham, and he needs to develop his game to fit that position because he's got ability. There's no doubt about that. But lots of players have got ability. I had ability. I'm on a podcast. Do you know what I mean? He's got ability, but he needs to be nurtured now. The young excuse is gone. I think he's 24 now. That's finished. By now, he needs to be. Everyone needs to know what he's about, and he's not there yet. Not at all.
So does that mean if I ever see him out in public, I should ask him, what do you want to be when you grow up? Okay, so let's move on.
Ask him that and invite him on the show. I reckon that'd be a step up.
I don't know how to ask that in Spanish. I have to get one of those dictionaries out or use my Google Translate to do that. Right, let's move on to the relegation battle. And Huddersfield moved out of the relegation zone with a 2-1 win at West Brom, while Brighton pummeled Swansea 4-1. Now, Jan, that's one win in 14 Premier League games for West Brom and the Pardew. That's 8 points in total out of a possible 42. He'll be out of a job soon, won't he?
Yeah, he'll be out of a job, and West Brom will go down exactly like I said. There's no fight there. Even like yesterday, if you want to talk about 6-pointers, that was the game. It was a game that West Brom couldn't afford to lose, and they did. Pardew seems to be one of the managers that seems to get a job, and I don't understand why. His record everywhere he's gone. All right, he did a half-decent job at Newcastle and maybe a bit at West Ham, but apart from that, he's not been great. He came in to steady the ship at West Brom, and it sunk. And there's only one way. They're going down. As simple as that, really, still.
Do you know what? This is how bad it's got for West Brom. Forget the fact that there's problems, in the boardroom. Forget the fact that Alan Pardew's come in and, he's probably got a big mirror on the wall and he's saying, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the finest manager of all? What he's done, or what's happened to West Brom, is the fact that if you look at Gareth Barry and Johnny Evans, two guys that you can pretty much say that off the field, they've got a squeaky clean image, right? You never hear about them being in the press for anything negative or whatever. Things are so bad at West Brom that these guys are nicking taxis in Barcelona. This is how bad things are at West Brom at the moment. They're senior players who are meant to be setting an example to the younger players who have got over, 1,000 Premier League games between them or something stupid, are nicking cabs in Barcelona. That is how bad it's got. When you hear about Britney Spears going off the rails and shaving her head, this is it. These West Brom players are doing a Britney Spears. They've lost it. They've lost the plot.
They're nicking cabs because they can't nick any points.
Well, there you go. There you go, mate. So, yeah, that is how bad things are at West Brom. And to be fair, and I don't mean to throw crud at Alan Pardew, his appointment was absolutely pointless. They had Tony Pulis there, and we spoke about this before, Jan, didn't we? Beginning of the season. What did these fans want? They were booing their team. Mid-table. That's mid-table. Right. What do you want from your team? You're booing your team off the pitch. You're booing your manager. They sack him. They rejoice. They bring in Alan Pardew, who got Palace in the FA Cup final. Forget the fact that, he's got an absolutely piss poor, points tally at the moment. I mean, how many games has he won? I think there's a stat saying he's won like 7 games in the last 54 as a manager. It's pathetic.
The only decent thing he's done is beating Liverpool in the Cup.
That's it. And then what happened? They got knocked out to Southampton a week later.
That's right.
So, be careful what you wish for. You wanted a new manager. You got your new manager. And this is what you've got.
I'll tell you how bad things are still. James McLean, 1 goal in how many games? 45 games or something like that?
Yeah.
He's a left winger. He scored 1 goal. Shocking.
Well,
Shocking.
There you go. Let's move on because people were starting to think I'm a West Brom fan because I was talking to Laurie Sanchez about him the other day. So I'm not going to go into the baggies anymore. Brighton, they're up to 11th in the table, and their win at the weekend was inspired by Glenn Murray, who scored twice. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but he's the type of player you need to stay in the league, isn't he?
Say again, the last bit. He's the type of guy
to keep you in the league.
Oh yeah, most definitely. We've seen that before down the years of Glenn Murray. You give him chances and he'll score goals. And I've said this before. I like Chris Hughton. He's a good coach and he's a good manager. He's done good things at where he's been, and it was a good result from it, a great result. And he's lucky he didn't get a third. If he was a bit more streetwise, he could have stayed on for that third goal and got himself an action. But a brace will do, and 3 points and up the same with the goal. I'm sure that they'll be safe, and West Brom will be boing going down.
Yo-yo club, yeah. Yo-yo club.
No. I mean that's the so-called boing. They like the boing on the terrace. It starts with the fans. The fans booing Tony Pulis. I'm sorry to go back to West Ham, but the fans booing Tony Pulis are guaranteed keeping him in the league. They get rid of him and they bring in a donut whose record is absolute shocking. And you've got to blame the board for bringing him in. And so there's a lot of people you can blame there. But the club's in turmoil. And to be honest, I hope they do go down, and I hope Middlesbrough get promoted.
There you go. That'll be a rough justice for them, wouldn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
Right. In other news, now you mentioned Middlesbrough. Callum McManaman scored the last-gasp equaliser for Sunderland in their 3-3 draw against Middlesbrough. Now, the former West Brom midfielder who fell out of favour with Tony Pulis celebrated his goal by running up to the Borough dugout, cupping his ear, and I'm not going to give you any guesses who that was aimed at. Now, Tony Pulis then told the press after the game that he wasn't angry. In fact, he said that he was disappointed when he was at West Brom, i.e. McManaman. I never picked him. He went to Sheffield Wednesday and they didn't pick him. And here he is and they don't pick him. So funny as this sounds, I have to question McManaman's professionalism, gents. I mean, this was classless in my opinion. What do you make of it, Dan?
Yeah, it was a bit classless. And I think you got to remember where you are. You're playing for Sunderland and you're bottom of the Championship. You're bottom of the Championship. Bottom of the Championship. 4 years ago, he was playing for Wigan. They went down. He went down while he was at Wigan, didn't he? And then he was at Wigan the year after. And they played Arsenal in the FA Cup semi-final. And he had a good game, but he missed some chances to probably win that. And his career has never really taken off from a lot of promise. So there's a lot of frustration there as well. I didn't know this was going to be a topic you'd spoken about. So if I've got my facts right, I'll apologise to anyone who knows. But I seem to recall McManaman having a falling out with Tony Pulis when Tony Pulis quite publicly lambasted him for diving when he played for West Brom. He went down for a penalty. Yeah. Right. So there's a little bit that stemmed from that. But do you know what? You're bottom of the league, right? Think of it this way. You're bottom of the league of the Championship when you're a Premier League club, really, Sunderland, or, should be. Or if you go down, you should be in the playoffs. So you've scored in the last minute to give your team a vital point in a derby, by the way, so the biggest game of the season. And the first thing you think of is to go and run to an opposition manager. Come on, mate. Get yourself over to the fans, rally them up, get your teammates G'd up, pick yourself up for the rest of the season and try and salvage something from the shipwreck, the absolute car crash of A, your career, and B, the football club you're representing, instead of giving it to Tony Pulis, who doesn't care. If he cared, he would have picked you. He didn't. Do you think he's bothered about that point? Of course he's not. It's just a ridiculous, bitter act. I'm not even overreacting, actually. I think I'm underreacting. It's a bitter act of a spoilt footballer who doesn't like the level he's found himself at and he wants someone to blame. Well, it ain't Tony Pulis' fault. It's not Tony Pulis' fault. It's anyone's fault except Tony Pulis. And it's just a ridiculous thing to do.
Rod, do you agree with that?
I do, to be honest. He seems to be at a weak mentality. He was quite a talented boy, and he obviously.
Oh, hey, well, I think that's the first technical problem we've had all night. Rod, you still there?
Yeah, sorry, mate. Sorry. Yeah, I do kind of agree with it a little bit. It's that he keeps kind of in the mentality of a weak mentality. That he's a talented boy, he's a talented player, but he seems to be frustrated where he's at, and he's doing all the wrong things. Like running over to, like Dan says, you're top down the league, mate. You're running over Tony Pulis, you're probably just laughing. It's just an embarrassing thing, and you get over to the fans, get over to your teammates, enjoy it, and make sure you get the win. But yeah, it just seems to be like I say, he was a talented boy. He's made some silly mistakes. Obviously, managers have given him some good advice, and he's not taking it or taking it the wrong way. Like I said, he seems like a weak mentality to me.
Absolutely. Right, let's move over to Serie A. And Sergej Milinkovic-Savic scored twice in Lazio's 3-0 win against Sassuolo. Now, Jan, he's been linked with a whole host of top European clubs. So what is it that makes him so special?
He's a really good player still. He's got presence. He's a tall guy. He's technically gifted. He scores goals. He makes goals. He's been impressive every time I've watched Lazio and I've seen him. I think he's a really good player, and I don't think it will last at Lazio. I think this will be his last season. One of the big boys will snap him up. He's got a lot of talent, and he's better than a Lazio player. No disrespect to Lazio, but they're not the Lazio that they used to be. So I do see him getting a move to a bigger club in the summer.
Fair enough. Well, does anyone want to hazard a guess who his agent is?
Raiola?
No.
Go on.
Mateo Kezman.
Kezman, the ex-Chelsea striker.
That's right. So no guesses as to where he might actually end up in the summer. There you go.
It depends if Conte's still there.
True. That's a good point, actually. Right. Okay, so let's move on to La Liga now. Our top story isn't Real Madrid's 4-0 win over Alaves. It isn't Barcelona's 6-1 hiding of Girona, but something a bit more sinister. If you thought Nile Ranger was a bit of a tearaway, putting it lightly, of course, then allow me to introduce you to Villarreal's Ruben Semedo, who was arrested on Thursday for attempted murder, injuries, threats, illegal detention, illegal possession of weapons, and robbery with violence. So that's all we know about the matter, but these are obviously very serious charges. Now, Dan, I don't know if you know about this story, right, but Semedo has been moved to a Karma, in inverted commas, wing, which, according to his lawyer, allows him other types of conditions, taking his profession into account, which basically means you can use a gym and have access to special dietary food until the case is over. Now, how does a player recover from this if his name is cleared? I mean, if you look at Chet Evans, for example, he's actually struggling to even get back in the game. So let's say this lad is found not guilty, despite all the evidence and the accusations thrown at him. How is he going to get back into football?
Okay, it's difficult. I don't know how Spanish fans are compared to the British terraces, who can be a little bit brutally unforgivable. So the first bit, with him being allowed to use a gym or whatever, I kind of get that from a moral point of view, in the sense that if he's found not guilty and he's not been allowed to train for 6 months, then you've mucked up a season and a half of the geezer's life. The other thing I'd say is as well is if he's playing for my team, what is attempted murder? If you've tried to murder someone you've missed, then you're not the sort of player I want on my side, to be honest. I want people who are a bit more clinical. So I think he might struggle to recover after that, and he's going to need a good agent. But yeah, I suppose players have done it, haven't they? Like Lee Hughes, he went to prison, didn't he? He was a goalkeeper, Luke Stel. He killed a couple of kids in a car crash, which I don't know the details of the story or whatever, but I guess it can happen. I guess he's got to. The case don't sound good for him, no, does it? It seems to be stacking up against him. If I was him, I'd use the gym he's been given and try and keep fit. Start scoring goals again. But if you're going to murder someone, do it properly. You know what I mean? It's a waste.
Just yeah. And The goalkeeper was Luke McCormick.
Luke McCormick, yeah. Excuse me, yeah. There you go.
Luke still ended up in Greece playing for Panathinaikos. So I don't know what's worse, doing prison time or playing in the Greek league. But anyway, that's another story for another time, I guess. Now, finally, while on the subject of goalkeepers, a nice little segue. Duisburg goalkeeper Stefan Kuchka. Jan is nodding his head because he knows about this story. He went from hero to zero at the weekend when his lapse of, how shall we say, concentration cost his side a goal. Now, Kuchka actually saved an 11th minute penalty, but undid his good work by completely forgetting about the game. A long ball upfield was headed back by his defender. Now, unfortunately, Kuchka was actually in the goal, facing the fans, having a drink, totally unaware what was going on. Now, the Ingolstadt striker just prodded the ball into practically unguarded net. Now, if you think Taibbi's mistake was bad, if you thought any goalkeeping mistake was bad, this has got to be probably the worst I've ever seen. Like I said, if you get the chance, I'm going to put it on our Twitter. I'm going to put it on our Facebook page as well. I'll put it on the Sofa Sports News one as well. This was hilarious. As I said, the guy is in the goal, facing the fans when his defender is heading the ball back to him. Honestly, you'd have thought you're playing FIFA. You'd see that on FIFA, like a glitch, a technical glitch or something. It was absolutely hilarious. I mean, Dan, have you seen this video?
No, I haven't. No, first I've heard it. Why didn't the fans tell him? Like, what's the equivalent of man on? It's got to be.
Well, he's Dutch, and the fans are German, so I presume there must be a little bit of a language barrier. But then again, it's I don't know. This is what I don't understand. There was actually a goal kick from the other end that started it. So I'm thinking, well, if you can see the ball's gone out for a goal kick, why are you doing this? Because on the off chance the ball's actually hoofed long, like honestly, you have to watch this video because I actually can't comprehend what was going on. Well, I do know what was going on in the guy's mind. He was obviously thirsty, but to do that in a game, for me, that is worse than being beaten on your halfway line. I don't know.
The thing is, though, the funny thing is after the ball goes in the back of the net, it's his face. I mean, did something just happen here?
He was actually squatting, looking at his defender. Yeah. It was brilliant. Like I said, when you see a technical glitch on FIFA, if you go on YouTube and you do a search for, FIFA glitches or whatever, or you see players bumping into each other, this was undoubtedly a FIFA glitch moment. Absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I will put the link up on the Facebook page, on Twitter, and let everyone watch this because it's absolutely hilarious. So there you go. That's it. That is it for the show. I don't like ending it back on a bad story. I don't want to end it on someone being up on a murder charge. So I thought I'd end it on a goalkeeper being something absolutely criminal. So yeah, that's it for tonight, ladies and gents. Thanks for tuning in. Dan, thanks for joining us, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, buddy. You're on Twitter, aren't you?
I am on Twitter, yeah. I'm pretty useless on Twitter. I just end up having arguments with Liverpool fans without actually intending to. But yeah, I'm on Twitter. It's at DDL_SSN. And
you're from the Sofa Sports News podcast as well, aren't you?
I am, yeah. Me and Harry and Alavi and various guests, and we have a good chuckle. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's another fine podcast, and if you want to listen to people mispronouncing names, I think Alavi is 100 times better than I am. He knows his stuff.
He makes Paul Merson sound eloquent, to be fair.
Well, actually, I've got a great Paul Merson story. It's not a great Paul Merson story, but it's quite a funny one, which I'll tell you off air, involving Asda shopping. But yeah, I'll go into that later on. Jan, what's your Twitter handle?
Yiannakis J.
That brilliant, great. And Rod, thanks for coming. I know that you're at work at the moment. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no worries, mate. It's at Rod James Giggs.
Excellent, superb. We are on Twitter at Shoot Defense. We have a Facebook page. Please join it, and also like and subscribe on our YouTube channel as you're probably watching live. Until next time, take care.